Okay, so Huawei just dropped something that I genuinely did not see coming, and honestly, it might be one of the most interesting foldable phones of 2026. Like, I have been following foldables for years now, and every time I think the category has kind of plateaued, a company comes out and just flips the whole thing on its head. No pun intended. Today we are talking about the Huawei Pura X Max, and if you have been sleeping on Huawei's foldable lineup, this is the video that's going to wake you up. Because this phone is not just bigger, it is genuinely smarter in how it approaches the whole wide foldable concept. We are going deep on everything: the displays, the cameras, the chipset, the stylus, all of it. So buckle up, because this one is a lot. And hey, real quick before we dive in, if you are new here and you like honest, in-depth tech breakdowns with no fluff, hit that subscribe button right now and drop a like on this video. It literally takes 2 seconds and it helps this channel more than you know. Okay, back to the phone. So let me give you some context first. Huawei launched the original Pura X not too long ago, and it introduced this idea of a wide foldable. Not a flip phone, not a traditional book-style foldable, but something kind of in between. The original X had a 3.5-inch cover display and a 6.3-inch main display, and it was positioned as this media-friendly device with a 16:10 aspect ratio. It felt like a tablet and a phone had a baby, and it was really designed around content consumption. But the question a lot of people had was, what if you made it bigger? And Huawei basically said, great question, here you go. The Pura X Max comes in with a 5.4-inch cover display and a 7.7-inch internal display. Let that sink in for a second. The cover display alone on the X Max is bigger than the main display was on many flagship phones just a few years ago. When you unfold this thing, you are looking at a near tablet experience in your hands. And the dimensions back that up. Folded, it sits at 120 millimeters tall and 85 millimeters wide. And unfolded, it opens up to 166.5 millimeters wide. That is a serious footprint. But here is the part that actually blew me away. Despite being significantly larger than the original X, the X Max is actually thinner. The original X came in at 15.1 millimeters folded and 7.2 millimeters unfolded. The X Max, 11.2 millimeters folded and just 5.2 millimeters unfolded. That is an insane engineering achievement. Thinner, larger, and lighter in terms of the thickness to size ratio. Whoever is running Huawei's hardware engineering team deserves a raise, seriously. Now the display aspect ratio has shifted quite a bit from the original X. The original had that widescreen 16:10 ratio, which was great for watching videos. The X Max goes with a 14:1:10 ratio on the inside, which is closer to a traditional book foldable. Think slightly wider than old school 4:3. Some people might miss the widescreen feel, but personally I think the square form factor makes the X Max way more versatile as a productivity device. You get more vertical real estate for reading, for apps, for multitasking. Both panels run LTPO 2.0 tech with a 1 to 120 Hz adaptive refresh rate, and Huawei has included 1440 Hz high-frequency PWM dimming, which is a big deal for people who are sensitive to screen flickering. It is one of those specs that does not get talked about enough, but it genuinely matters for your eye comfort over long sessions. Let us talk about what might be the biggest flex on this entire device, and that is the stylus support. The Pura X Max is compatible with Huawei's M Pen 3 Mini. Now, they called it Mini because they had to shrink it down to match the reduced height of this form factor, and honestly, I think that is a really thoughtful design decision. It comes with a specially designed case, and there is also a separate case with a magnetic flip-out kickstand for when you want to prop the phone up and use the stylus hands-free. Think about taking notes in a meeting, annotating documents, sketching ideas. On a 7.7-inch display, a stylus is not just a gimmick. It is genuinely useful. This puts the X Max in a completely different category from most foldables on the market. You are basically carrying a note-taking tablet in your pocket. Now, quick shout out before we keep going. If you are getting value from this breakdown, smash that like button, and if you have not subscribed yet, now is literally the perfect time. We do this kind of deep dive content every week, and you do not want to miss what is coming next. Alright, keeping it moving. Performance-wise, the Pura X Max is powered by the Kirin 9030 Pro chipset. Huawei claims this chip delivers a 30% performance uplift over the Kirin 9020 that was in the original X. That is a meaningful generational jump, and not just in raw numbers. The cooling system is a combo of a vapor chamber and a graphene sheet, which should keep thermals in check even under sustained workloads. Now, obviously we have to address the elephant in the room. This phone runs HarmonyOS 6.1, not Android. Huawei has been building out their own ecosystem for a few years now, and HarmonyOS has matured a lot. But if you are living outside China and you depend on Google services, this is a real consideration. No Google Play, no Gmail, no Maps, none of that. Huawei has their own app ecosystem and it is genuinely solid within China, but globally it is a different story, and that is just the reality of the situation right now. The battery is 5,300 milliamp hours, which is a nice jump from the 4,720 milliamp hours on the original X. Bigger phone, bigger battery, that math checks out. And it supports 66W wired charging and 50W wireless supercharge. For context, 66W wired should get you from 0 to full in around 40 to 45 minutes based on Huawei's other devices at similar wattage, which is fast but not the absolute fastest we have seen in the Android space. The wireless charging at 50W though is genuinely impressive and puts it ahead of most Western flagship phones when it comes to wireless speeds. Now let us get into the cameras, because this is where things get really interesting. The main shooter is a 50 megapixel sensor with OIS and a variable aperture that goes from f1.4 all the way to f4.0. Variable aperture on a smartphone is something we honestly do not see enough of, and it makes a huge difference in real-world shooting conditions. In bright daylight, you can stop down and get sharper, more controlled exposures. In low light, you open it up and let more light in. It is a feature that gives the camera system way more flexibility than a fixed aperture lens. Then you have a 50 megapixel periscope telephoto with an f2.2 lens and OIS, and a 12.5 megapixel ultrawide also at f2.2. All three of these use RYYB sensors. If you are not familiar, RYYB replaces the traditional green subpixels with yellow ones, which lets in significantly more light. It is one of Huawei's signature technologies, and it genuinely helps in low-light situations. For selfies, there are two 8-megapixel cameras, one on each display, primarily for video calls. When you want a high-quality selfie, you are meant to flip it around and use the main camera system, and honestly, that is the right call. All of this is processed through Huawei's Zmage image processing engine with a second-generation color sensor that helps with color accuracy and consistency across scenes. Compare this to the original Pura X, which had a fixed f1.6 aperture main camera, an 8-megapixel telephoto, and a 40-megapixel ultrawide. The X Max is a clear step up across the board, especially on the telephoto side, where going from 8 megapixels to 50 megapixels with a periscope lens is a massive jump for zoom photography. Build quality also gets a serious upgrade here. The frame is made of aluminum alloy, and the IP rating goes from IPX8 on the original X to IP58 and IP59 on the X Max. That means you are now getting actual dust resistance alongside the water submersion protection and even resistance to high-pressure water jets. The outer screen is protected by second-gen Kunlun glass, which is Huawei's proprietary toughened glass design specifically for durability. For a foldable that is going to be opened and closed hundreds of times a day, these build quality improvements matter a lot in the real world. As for pricing, the Pura X Max starts at 11,000 Chinese yuan for the 12 gigabytes and 256 gigabytes configuration, which works out to roughly 1,615 US dollars. It goes all the way up to 14,000 Chinese yuan, about 2,055 US dollars, for the top-tier 16 gigabytes RAM and 1 terabyte storage model. The phone is launching in China right now in multiple color options, and it is genuinely a stunning piece of hardware from what we can see in the official images. As for global availability, honestly, we do not know yet. Huawei's international presence has been limited due to US sanctions and trade restrictions, and those realities have not changed. So if you are outside China, your best bet is to keep watching this space and hope for an international rollout, but do not hold your breath. So here is my honest take. The Huawei Pura X Max is an incredibly ambitious device. The engineering that went into making it thinner and larger at the same time is genuinely impressive. The camera system with that variable aperture and RYYB sensors is one of the most sophisticated setups on any foldable right now. The stylus support opens up a whole new use case that most foldables simply ignore. And the battery and charging specs are competitive without being the absolute best in class. The main challenge is HarmonyOS and limited global availability. If you are in China or you are a Huawei ecosystem person, this is a very compelling package. If you are outside China and you need Google services, this one is more of a watch from the sidelines situation. But from a pure hardware and engineering standpoint, Huawei is proving that they are still one of the most innovative companies in the foldable space, and that should make every other manufacturer take notice. Alright, that is a wrap on the Huawei Pura X Max. If you made it this far, you are the real ones, and I genuinely appreciate you. If you found this video helpful, drop a like down below and make sure you are subscribed so you never miss a drop. We have more flagship breakdowns and tech deep dives coming your way very soon. Hit the bell, stay curious, and I will see you in the next one.